Hi, I'm Andy from FBA Insights, and this is just a quick video today to describe a little bit about how I look at an overview of whether a product is selling, how much it's selling, and how many other people are on the listing and what their inventory levels are. This is one of those issues where you may decide that something looks like it's got a return, but then whether you get a return on it or not depends on who else is on the listing, how they're pricing it. And if you look at the stock levels, you might find someone has tanked the price and it makes it look like it's not worth buying or selling that product with Amazon, but then actually they're almost out of stock and they've just desperately cranked the price down to get their last bit of stock gone. And if you just wait them out, might only be a day or a few days or a week, then the price will come back up again and you'll get the return that you were looking for. If you can see my screen here, you'll see what I'm showing you is basically my browser extensions. So if you see something on the screen that looks different to how you see it when you go to Amazon, probably one of these extensions has kicked in and is just providing some extra data. I'll quickly give you a highlight of the top ones. So AMZ Suggestion Expander, if I'm typing a search into Amazon, this will open up the range of responses that are good potential related keywords for this. So if you're doing some product research or you're trying to find variations or other related products to something that you already know about, that might bring up some suggestions that will be useful to you. So that might be useful. Bibot Pro, you'll see that in action in a little bit. If you don't know about it, definitely check it out. It's got some really cool features. Helium 10, again, this is one of those industry standard, loads of stuff to it. I won't go into it now, but you might see some of the Helium 10 Chrome extension reflected in the video. Honey is about vouchers, Mr. Rebates is about vouchers, Rev ROI is about vouchers and cashbacks and discounts. Top Cashback, again, cashbacks and coupons. SellerAmp, you'll see that in a bit as well, very similar to BuyBot Pro in some of the interface, as you'll see. Restricted or hazmat, that's a very nice simple, is this restricted or hazmat? If you're not familiar with hazmat, I won't go into it now, but I cover it in another video which I'll be uploading soon. So you might see that I'm eligible to sell something and that it's hazmat. That's just because my account is one of these ones where I've been doing it long enough that I've applied to be able to sell hazardous materials and I'm approved for that. So there might be something that I can sell which you currently can't, but that's just a matter of applying and giving it a bit of time basically. So yeah, if you see something and you're wondering where that data came from or why it appeared on my Amazon screen, it's probably one of these extensions that's kicked in. Okay, so with that out of the way, we'll just do a quick search. I thought I'll just do a search for some type of popular product that you may come across. So in fact, if I take the word doll off the end, you'll see that keyword expander's starting to kick in again. So I've got all these Disney products being shown to me, and you'll see down in the bottom right of my screen as I've hovered over one, I've got some of the keeper data fed through. So some of these extensions just automatically kick in and give you extra data. So if you're not familiar with Keeper, you definitely need to check it out. It's pretty much one of the most fundamental useful tools that almost all Amazon sellers will use. I won't go into it right now. I'll do a separate video on it sometime. There are other people who've done videos, so I'm not going to spend your time on it in this video. So I'll go back to the search bit. Again, you can see some data appearing here telling me for each of these products what number they are in the category, what category they're in, whether they're sold by Amazon or not, how many sellers are on the listing. So some of these things give you a very good quick look. So if I look at this particular listing, the second one, I can see there's only one seller. That's a pretty good indication that this brand has the brand owner selling it. So it's not something you would want to try and automatically just jump on if you saw it for a good price. So when you do look at things, the first thing you want to rule out is whether there's going to be anything that will be a hurdle for you to selling this product. Generally speaking, some people don't like to be on listings that Amazon are on. I'm not necessarily so strict about that. I'll happily sell things if I can tell that Amazon are sometimes not on the listing, or that they'll share the buy box with you. If I see just one seller and it's a branded thing, then I probably would just leave it and pass. So you can see as I hover over different items here, I get the keeper data popping up. That will give me some information, and depending what I care about right now, let's take this Disney Princess Rainbow Styles Rapunzel hair play doll. Not that I'm into that sort of thing per se, just using it as an example. So you'll see here, I'll take that BuyBot Pro off there. See here, I've just got the normal information. There's a little bit here from Helium 10, which has popped up, basically telling me how well optimized this listing is. In most of the online arbitrage and retail arbitrage things, you probably won't need to focus on that, but if you're intending to create a listing of your own, it's particularly valuable if you're private labeling something, but also if you've just made a new bundle of something and it doesn't exist on Amazon right now and you need to create a listing, this is a really good guide to what are important factors and how well optimized they are. So even if this was your listing, you might actually want to see this data and know that you've optimized it. And you can see it tells you things like the number of pages, the number of images, whether the image background is white or not, which is an Amazon requirement for the first image, the dimensions, the title, listing, number of characters, any bullet points. These are all things that Amazon look for to decide that the listing is good and valid and useful. So that might be something you're interested in. So moving on, if I just scroll down again, you can see something extras here. Again, the little icon tells you it's come from Helium 10. And this one includes something which I want to focus on in this video, which is inventory levels. So right now, the overview I've got here is that 20 people are selling this. I can't really tell a lot more than that right now. If I scroll down though, I'll keep scrolling for now, and you can just see there's not a lot of extra info. This is all just product stuff, but as I hover over things, the keeper data is being brought up. So if I click on inventory levels, Helium 10 will go check out those, what we already know are 20 sellers, and bring me back some useful data about them. So depending on where you're at with this, the most important things you probably care about are these sellers actually Amazon themselves? Are they a third-party seller that is shipping into Amazon and having Amazon fulfill them? Or are these third-party sellers that are shipping and doing fulfilled by merchant? So if you're an FBA seller, then fulfilled by merchant sellers are probably not your competition. You may have to factor them in when you're looking at price, but fundamentally, if you're an FBA seller, the Amazon FBA sellers are your main competition. How many reviews they've got and what standing their account is in may be a factor you need to consider. If they've got 2,000 reviews and you've just started and you've got one, there's a good chance that they'll be getting slightly more preferential treatment, and you may have to price a little bit more under in order to get the buy box from them. So what we really care about right now is, after those things, what are the stock levels? So you can see the first few people here, 2, 5, 1, 1, then you've got someone with 63. Their price is the highest of those so far. In fact, it's up until this one person that's still loading at £51, £43 is higher than any of the others around them. So they've got more stock. Probably they're in this for a bit longer. They've got more stock. They'll just sit there. They'll let these others sell out, and then they'll get their price as and when those times arise. So you can see really there's a lot of sellers on here, but they've only got a handful of product. So if you were really interested in this particular product, probably you're going to be able to get some sales. This one up at 43 is the one with the most stock, then 20, then 13. This one with 13's priced at £20, which seems really cheap for this product. So right now they're probably getting the buy box. We can see that in a minute. And yeah, if you can source this thing in a way that you could make a profit at £20, then you could probably jump on this listing. So that's really useful. How many sellers there are, who those sellers are, I'll talk about that again more towards the end of the video, because there's a really cool tool that I've got that will basically give me a lot more information about those sellers. So right now, how many are there? Who are they? What are their stock levels and what are their pricing? And are they Amazon FBA sellers or fulfilled by merchant? That's all really good information, really useful. And that all comes up from that Helium 10 inventory levels tab. Okay, so I can see this 20 and the buy box price is £20. So the one with the lowest price is the one that Amazon is currently saying, look, you can buy this from this price. So if I want to get a little bit more knowledgeable now about what's going on, or I want a bit more insight, can I make a profit with this? I'll bring up the Bibot Pro. One thing about the Bibot Pro toolbar here that's now present is, unless you put in a buy price, you don't really get any data from it. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I would think that they would populate that with some basic, very minimal price just to give you the stats to start with and then let you overwrite the price, but it sets to 0 and you get no data by default. So unless I know how much I can source this for, the pricing is a little bit irrelevant. So I'll just put £1 just so that the tool will go off and get data. So now we've got an analysis from the tool. It's got the ASIN, it's got the bestseller rank, it says that I'm eligible to sell it. It's saying that there are no known private label or IP issues with this, so probably it's safe to sell. It's not hazmat, it's not dangerous, it's not oversized or bulky. And the analysis is Amazon are known to have shared the buy box on a regular and consistent basis. So no big red flags right now. And then it's saying, yeah, with the price that I put in, which is basically irrelevant, this is what your return would be and what your ROI. What we really like to see now is this next bit, estimated sales. So this is saying in the last 90 days, there's an average of 22 sales. If you hover over the center one, it will show you month by month estimated sales. I'm not massively confident that this data is accurate, because I know from things that I sell myself that the numbers on here don't reflect the sales that I know I've had. So I would take this stuff with a pinch of salt. It's probably, I would say, underestimating based on what I've seen, but it gives you some sort of flavor of, does this thing sell? How often does it sell? Without you going looking at the keeper charts to get a bit more detail. So I do actually find this quite useful when I'm doing a quick glance of whether something's going to be profitable. Next, we're down to the competitors again. And this is a really handy thing. What we just saw with the Helium 10 inventory levels is basically summarized here. So you can see the number, the position of the seller. So this is price ordered now. So lowest price at the top. And you can see the first seller is an FBA seller at £20. They've got 3,300 reviews and 98% positive feedback. So they're a decent seller. They've got 13 of these things. We're only selling less than 13 a month on most months. So actually, they're probably, unless somebody changes their price, they're going to be getting the buy box. So what we've got here is a lot of really good data. Who's got the best price? What type of seller are they? What amount of stock have they got? How often does this thing sell? So, you know, if you can source this in order to make a profit at 20 quid, probably you can be in the game there. it doesn't sell often enough that these early sellers are going to sell out anytime soon. So this guy with 65 of them at £25, he's not going to get a sale for a little while unless he changes something there. And these ones up at a higher price, they're not really going to get much of a look in, especially the fulfilled by merchant ones. So this gives me a really easy and quick view of who's selling this, what are they selling, how many have they got, what type of seller are they, does this thing sell often enough for me to think that I can be involved. What I'll do now is click on this other little icon, which is for the SellerAmp plugin. You'll notice some similarities here because actually if it loads, that's weird, it's not loading. Right, so I've opened up the SellerAmp app here, and again I've still got all this Bibot Pro data and charts there, but what I now have is this floating window from the SellerAmp tool. And again, if I didn't have Bibot Pro, then, well, actually I've got both obviously, but if I didn't have the other one, then this would give me all of that same sort of data. So it tells me what the product is, tells me who the vendor is, what the ASIN is, what category it's in, can let me go through and see the other images. And again, it's saying there's no buy box, so actually this is just being listed as you saw just now, 20 new from this price. There's not actually a buy box right now. If Amazon jump back on the listing, the buy box will appear again and they'll probably have it. So you can see the lowest FBA seller, £20, and then the lowest FBM seller, £21.34. Does Amazon share the buy box? Yes, probably. And if you want to make any money selling this, you need to buy it for at least £9.77. Any more than that, and there's not going to be a lot of profit in it. So depending on how much profit you're looking for, what sort of volume you sell at, these sort of numbers about whether something's profitable or not, they really come down to your own personal preference. I've got products that I pay less than £1 for. I make just over £1 when I sell them. So some tools will say, oh, there's only £1, 5p of profit in this, it's not worth doing. Whereas I'm seeing actually I'm getting over 100% return and I can sell hundreds of these things. So I'm quite happy with that. They're small and light. I send a box of 250 in and I know I'm going to make 250 quid profit on that. So take all of these things with a bit of a pinch of salt and in your own context. Again, eligibility, yes, I can sell it. Is it hazmat? No. Is it private label? Not likely. No known IP issues. Not oversized or bulky, and some keeper data. And then actually you can see with SellerAmp they have put in a price, so you do immediately, without typing anything in, get a bunch of stats back, tell you what the fees are. So it's basically saying your break-even price is £15. If you pay £15 or more for this, then even competing with the lowest price at 20, there's not any money in it. And this is saying if you were to buy it at £9.77 and take the £5 odd of fees off and the VAT, you could make £3.91. So on a £9.77 spend, a profit of £3.91 means a 40% ROI. That's not bad. Some people like more, some people are okay with less, so that's down to you. Again, as with the BuyBot Pro, this will show you the other marketplaces. If you're interested in selling around Europe or America, I'm just UK selling. But again, you can see who the sellers are, what type of sellers, what prices, and you can see other markets and whether it's profitable to sell this somewhere else. So this is a really useful thing. You can order it and set some bits in the background on this, but that's just a quick overview. So with either BuyBot Pro or SellerAmp, you can tell, does this thing sell? How often does it sell? How many people are selling it? What type of sellers are they? Are they FBA? Are they FBM? Are they high quality sellers with lots of stock? Or are they new sellers with just a few units? And then you can decide, based on how often this sells and at what price, whether you just sit there at £20 or you go for £15 because you want to sell faster. This will basically tell you what you need to be able to buy it for. So with that in mind, let's see what I can actually buy this for then. So I've come over to Zappies, which is a wholesaler that actually has this type of product. You can see I can buy a carton of 4 for £39.20, so that's £9.80 per product. So if I come back to either of these, BuyBot Pro or SellerAmp, put £9.80 in, it's saying, okay, there's a profit of £3.88. And again, depending on how you use these tools, you may, in the settings, have put in your preparation costs. I do my own prep. If you're using a prep center, there may be a certain value that you put into this to account for that, and then you account for your shipping as well. So if you're buying products that are quite big, then you're going to get less of them in a box, and the shipping cost will be higher than if you've got some product that's very small and you can put 50 of them in one box, and then you the price for shipping of each unit then becomes really small, because with Amazon it might cost, in the UK, most of my packages cost me £4.30 something for up to 15 kilograms. So for toys and games and small things, you can get a lot of product in there for that. And especially with the beauty stuff as well, lipsticks and things like this, you can get a whole ton of them in a box that's not a massive box but has a lot of product in. So the packaging and shipping costs can be quite minimal. So that's just a quick overview. So I won't go into Keeper too much here, because you've seen the data here. You probably already know about Keeper, and I'll do it. It sort of warrants a separate video in its own right. So if you haven't seen a video that's told you everything you need to know about Keeper, let me know what you're still looking to learn, and I'll make a video which includes it. So I'll throw in one last little bit of insight here that maybe you haven't seen anywhere before. I know I certainly was looking for this previously and hadn't found it, so I'll give you a little special treat here. If I go now, I look at who's the lowest seller here. This guy, Import Toys, he's an FBA seller. You can see by the Prime logo, he's selling at £20. He's got 13 left in stock. So I think, well, okay, this guy's selling something that I'm interested in selling. I wonder how much research he's done to find other products that he can sell, because probably those are products that I might be interested or able to sell as well. So if I just open up his storefront, I can basically take a look through and see what he's selling. Now, you probably already know that, but if I come up and take his seller ID and copy that, and then open up another little tool which you may not be aware of. In fact, I haven't opened it yet. I'll open it now. So this is called AMZ Analyzer, and I won't go into everything that it does, because it actually does quite a lot, but one really nice little function that it's got that I love is this competing seller option. So if I put the competing seller, drop in the ID of that seller that I've just looked at, and then say run, this will now go off and analyze that seller's store. It will pull back data from every single product that that seller is selling, and it will bring me a whole lot of interesting stats and information about it. Now, I had been saving when I started. When I found other stores, someone selling something I was interested in or something I knew I could source, I was thinking, okay, well, I'll save that seller as someone I'm interested in checking out their store to find out if there's any ideas I can get about things that I can confirm are selling, because I've seen that this person is selling them okay, and maybe I'll find some little nuggets there, some low competition products that I know I can source, and the ideas have come directly from looking what's working for someone else. And at the time I thought, okay, this is going to be a bit of a nightmare. If they've got 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 products, it's going to take me weeks just to sit there, click through their store, look at the product, go through, see how many other sellers are selling it, see what sort of price it sells for, how often it sells. And I was building up this big list of sellers that I'm interested in doing some research on. And then I asked around on some of the Facebook groups, and people said, oh yeah, just hire a VA for this. And I was looking at it thinking, well, even if a VA, like one of Thomas's VAs from the Philippines, they're very good, they're very skillful, lots of good experience. This is a little bit of a mundane task, doesn't require a massive amount of thinking or knowledge, but it's very laborious. And actually, even for one seller, if I pick a seller with 10,000 products, that's going to take someone ages to go through, click on every product, get the data about it, store it in a spreadsheet somewhere. And so I was thinking, although I definitely didn't want to spend that time myself, I didn't even feel like it was going to be a good use of a VA's time. I'd end up having to pay a hell of a lot of money just to get back some data which may be no use to me whatsoever. So when I found this tool, it was a real godsend. You can see now it's just finished running that data and it's brought it back. So I click on the little box and it now loads it into the results tab. Now take a look at this bad boy. The ASIN, the product ID, the title, the Amazon link, is it sold by Amazon, reviews, ratings, what product groups it in, what's the sales rank, estimated number of sales, profit, margin, ROI. I actually don't know where they get all this data from because it's populated the purchase price. So where it got that from, I've got no idea. So if you use this tool and you know how that data is populated, I'd love to hear that. Landed by the buy box landed price. So again, new low FBA price, merchant fulfilled, sell price, referral fee. So there's, if I scroll along here, you'll see there's a whole bunch more tabs as well. There's an absolute ton of data here. You can link straight to the keeper charts. You can link to the camel pricing data. You can see the package weight, length, width. Like, this is really good stuff. Number of offers, so how many sellers are on it. Like, this is really nice. And so you think, well, that's amazing, but it gets even better. And if I just choose this potential winners view, it gets rid of a whole bunch of things which it doesn't think are that profitable. What I like to do with this is actually order them based on the number of sales. So what I've got now are the items that seller sells which are profitable, and now I can see them by which ones sell the most. So I can see the top selling product for that particular store owner is this Fingerlings Baby Monkey BFFs. So I'll click on that, just go take a look at it. Right, okay, it's one of these little things. So that product, they're selling, well, that product is selling over 600 a month. So sorry, over 892. So depending on like how many of these things you think you might be buying and what price you can pay, this is basically telling you these things sell. This vendor has them and they sell well, and it looks like there's a profit in them. Again, if I bring up SellerAmp, I can see again keeper data. Actually, yeah, look, this thing's pretty popular. The demand is high. The price is not too badly fluctuating, pretty stable around £10, sometimes bumps down, and then I guess whoever decided to slit their own throat sold their product, and then the price went back up again to normal. So this will tell me, yeah, if I want something that I know sells, that someone else that I've thought is interesting to check out, that might be a similar type of seller to me, this is what they're selling. So that's a really handy little way to find new products to sell, because maybe I would have found this some other way, but actually this has just given me this guy's product that sells the most. The next one, say a lot of these are toys, another fingerlings baby monkey, different color. There's another one there. So actually these fingerling things look like they sell quite well, so I might check those out. So if you're not aware of this sort of thing, like, just imagine how useful that was compared to starting from a clean sheet thinking, I wonder what should I sell. You can find a seller that's like you, click a button and find all the stuff that they've got in their inventory, how well those things are selling, what sort of prices they sell for, and then you can decide whether, okay, these ones sell well, I'll go see if I can source this and for what price, and whether there's a profit for me there. And so whether there is a profit or not is a whole nother thing, depends on your sourcing abilities and whether you're getting something in a sale or from wholesale. But this I've found to be a really good way of broadening your inventory of products based on something more than just randomly searching to get some weird data. This is actual sellers. You can reverse engineer another seller's store and find things that sell well from it. So hopefully that's been useful to you. I've covered a few little things there, enough hopefully to get your juices flowing, introduce you to a couple of things you may not have been aware of. Okay, so I'll catch you next time. Thanks for your attention.